Fisheries and Oceans Canada to talk about threats and opportunities related to Lampricides. Bruce, the floor is yours.
How's that? High enough? Yeah? I just want to try this first. Okay, if there's any animations in this, I did not make those. Anyhow, so my name is Bruce Morrison, as you heard. I'm the lead of the control side of the Sea Lamprey Control Program at Fisheries and Oceans Canada. So part of my team's job is to kill lampreys with Lampricides. I'm presenting this on behalf of several other agencies. They're all represented on this, and I'll thank my co-authors at the end, because they actually did. I put the thing together, and then they helped me a lot. I couldn't have did this without them. Prior to Christmas, we had this meeting where we strategized about issues related to lampricide control, especially the social license side of things. And then we had this little vote, or not vote, but what do you call it, a survey, and ranked out a few items, which I'll get to. But before I do that, I'm going to tell you all about what I do, or what we do. I used to do it, and then get into more details about what Sea Lamprey Control Treatment Program does. We're usually called larval control, but I'll use the word treatment a lot because that's our lingo and it's the same, means the same. So this Venn diagram is purposely disproportionate because at any given time one of those items on there can rule the day. It could just be a single landowner that rules the day. However, they change. You saw the outline. I'm not going to talk about it. So we have three main offices. One, and you heard this already. One at Ludington, one at Marquette. They're both in Michigan, and one at Sault Ste. Marie, Ontario. The larval assessment team, who you will hear of later, has its own challenges. But I'm just going to tell you that they go upstream. They electrofish. They tell us They basically tell us when to treat and where to treat. And we can't work without their work. It's truly an integrated program. Then the treatment supervisors, Christine's one of them. She presented yesterday on Lake Ontario. We have about 40 to 60 years of history, depending on which lake you're on, and we saved every one of those treatment binders and learned from, and used them to inform us. As you know, we have two types of lampricides: 3-trifluoromethyl 4-nitrophenol and balicide, or niclosamide, which is granular or liquid, and those are the two things we use on treatment only. In this picture you can see a couple of fellas. That's a treatment with both types of lampricide, niclosamide and balicide, because we use niclosamide to reduce the amount of TFM we need in big treatments. And I mention it because as part of the social license thing we'll talk about later, the two lampricides are not liked by everyone, and niclosamide's a little less specific and can harm mollusks, because that's what it was originally, a molluscicide. Before I go further though on the actual treatment type history, all of our program is set up into task forces, kind of like the lake units. So we have the Larval Control Task Force, which I'm a member of, but I'm not the chair. Lori Krieger's the chair. She's from Marquette, and she helped write this. At those meetings, we meet twice a year, and we plan everything. We talk about issues, talk about all kinds of things, like research and direction from the Sea Lamprey Control Board, because they give us action items and we have to deliver those. As I said, the larval assessment can complete that rank list for us, and so we meet another time in the year to discuss that rank list and to gin up a schedule to submit to the control board, because at the end of the day they have to approve our work plan. These parts aren't challenges. I'm just giving you a background. They can be challenging, especially when we don't agree, but that's not part of this story. Oh, you'll see interdispersed in here some pictures to keep reminding you why sea lamprey control is important. Like the guy there with the big fish with a hole in it. So this is a picture of next year's treatment plan. We treat from in this case, next year's, all the way from almost Syracuse to Duluth, from southern Lake Michigan, all the way up to Nipigon, north of Superior. This requires all 3 offices to be able to travel a lot, like 80 nights a year per person sometimes, and that's not unusual. So if travel restrictions happen, you saw what happens, our program stalls completely, or we can't do everything we want to do. And for really big treatments like the Manistique or the Rifle Rivers, and Manistique is on that map this year coming up, all 3 offices have to pitch in together, and we literally plan right down to the staff day. So when even if we have 2 to 4 people away, it hurts us in the overtime. Not that the overtime's an issue, but people can get really tired. And our job's physical in remote places, and it could be a safety issue one day. It hasn't been. So let's move into some more interesting, what we actually do day to day. Once we have our suite of streams, my treatment supervisors on both sides of the ditch will start planning the year out. And even though we know what we're doing, sometimes the best laid plans, you get down to, this is right near Pulaski, New York, in what we call the Tug Hill area. It's really high up, like Adirondack High. April 26th, end of April, snowstorm. You can't treat, it's too cold, because TFM is limited by water temperature. So you don't know that till you get there, that's actually going to happen, because maybe down by the lake's pouring rain, but not there. So I'm just laying this out because the environment is a huge issue that presents challenges that we've learned to live with and cope with. Keep this in mind when I get to the other challenges. At treatment time, 2 types of treatments that we do. The spray boat on, what is that, your side? On the left. That does granular bear type treatments in embayments or lentic areas. It works exactly like a big machine in the farm fields where they use GPS now to guide them up and down the field, except this is on a river. It's usually pretty shallow water. And the other guys that's Jamie there on Garden River, doing a TFM treatment using just a peristaltic pump. That's our main type of device we use. All of our guys know to use. Everyone who's using those equipments are licensed or certified by Ministry of Environment, Climate and Parks in Ontario, and by each state. Every jurisdiction has their own permit to do this. Keep remembering these things, and they're going to add up. And I don't have a total head count for the number of permits we need, but it's huge. As you might expect, that boat's going to be treating off the mouth of the Moira River right after Walleye Opener, as I was reminded this morning. So it gets a lot of visibility and phone calls in. So we have to also notify MOE, Ministry of Environment, at their spills hotline that we're not spilling stuff on purpose. We are doing it on purpose, but it's controlled, measured. Finally, to the survey. So in this survey, the thing, you can't read that whole list because I just pulled out the top 4, and I'm only going to talk about the top 4. The bottom ones relate more to climate and environment. And it's not that they didn't rate high on purpose, it's those things are kind of out of our control. The top 4 things are things that we do with other groups, and we can maybe have solutions and opportunities related to those. But I still will lay out the environment because you got to keep that in mind. That's just a slide telling you where I'm going. So all of our work is also based on standard operating procedures. Most of them are science-based. Some are administrative. And this one's more based on our history of what we've done over time. It's called Appendix H, and it shows the optimal stream time months to do a treatment in a stream. It was done over 10 years ago, and we're starting to find out, whether it's real or not, that some of the streams can't be done as well as we thought in those times. I'll show you an example here. So Sean Nowicki, who's also at U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service in Marquette, helped me summarize all of our deferrals for that 10-year period you see. I took out the COVID reasons because the graph would be tiny compared to those. It's no point. But what you can see is that bar that's blue, leftmost, it stays, all the bars stay in the same place. It increases over time, and those are all related to either drought or flooding. And they do increase over time, but you keep in mind that some of these are really small streams in the north, so they're quickly impacted by low rain. The fish issues one is interesting. It's more to do with spawning fish. So if we get to a site we want to do GB, and there's something there like round whitefish, we don't want to kill them and we leave because they're really sensitive during their spawning time. And what's the next one? Non-concurrence. That could be anything from working with a First Nation and we haven't talked to them long enough and we need to come to concurrence. Or it could also be just not being able to access a place because our main application point's on someone's property. And we need to do more discussion. What else is there? The other can be anything from administrative, not enough staff, and in one case that was to avoid a research project that had young and deer sturgeon in cages right below where we would treat. That's the worst place to be. So I laid out the environmental side. Keep all that in mind. So my treatment supervisors have planned the whole thing out. They're ready to go. But during the 5 months over winter, we've been doing something else. Because only about 3 of us don't go in the field. Every other person's in the field for about 7 months of the year. So in the other 5 months, they have to do this. And I'm not purposely centering out any agencies here, but it's more about numbers. So in any one location, even one stream, if it happens to have species at risk, be in a national park, be in the province of Ontario, and that's it. Those are 4 permits I have to have. I have to apply for them well in advance. I have to report on them afterwards. It's all good. It's just I'm just trying to lay out the landscape. The other part that is maybe something with an opportunity is all of the reporting is different. Can it be made similar? Don't know yet. Here's an example in Michigan, exact same issue. If we were doing a treatment in the Saini, you can see on there, all of those may apply to that one treatment, or almost, and it's a lot of work. Behind the scenes, what you don't know is every single person who works for us has that Ontario Pest Applicators License, New York, Michigan, Transportation Dangerous Goods, SVOP, which is Small Vessels Operator Permit. Some have DZ license that they got to maintain, so we're really highly regulated and also really well trained. But this is an issue because what happens with the species, I'm going to use species at risk, which is that first issue. Issue 1 is species at risk, issue 2 is pesticide use, and issue 4 is all the other permitting, like the permit to use pesticide. Here's a species of concern example. It's from Michigan, but in Ontario we have the exact same type of list. The key point for this list is what happens to us. So the challenge in the rightmost column, you can read yourself, but they're either changing our ability, our timing windows. It could be narrow, it could be later, or completely kicking us out, depending on the critter and its status. Oh, and the last one there, concentration restrictions. Even we're even looking at doing moving mussels to another location, suitable habitat to protect them from our GB work. Takes a ton of planning. On top of this, we also try always to know what's spawning. We don't want to treat on top of spawning Chinook or spawning walleye or round whitefish, like I said. And we've even avoided times when we found out there's a fishing derby. At Michipicoten, they had a day where the elders were taking the young folk out on the land for a weekend, and we avoided that weekend completely. It just really limits your ability to plan wide open. We used to not do this as much as I'm saying. Issue 3's, you might think it's all just about blocking lamprey from going up a stream. However, when that failure at the Sanford and Edenfield dams happened in 2020, it opened up 150 miles of stream and actually cost us 40 more staff days of effort, which could turn a 10-day trip, which maybe had 5 days in this river, to having 8 days on that river. And it also opened up the top end of the river to us, where there are species at risk, and more and permitting, and also that stream has weird pH cycling, so it's a new area, riskier for us until we learn it. I didn't even make it to this one. Social license. This is a super good example though of lake sturgeon, where we did come up with a solution, which was to take sturgeon out of the river, put them into a hatchery setting, and then put them back afterwards. And this was done with the Little River Band of Ottawa Indians and Michigan DNR. And the project's called the SOS Partnership. There's an example though of something where we already worked through the whole challenge to solution. The challenge for us is doing that work. Here's the top 4 issues again. I'm going to jump this, Scott, though, and just tell you that, again, things like travel restrictions, shortages of staff, and budget constraints severely impact our program, because it's planned to maximize every cent we get and every person we have. And this was also made before Christmas, so that issue that's happening now wasn't part of this issue. There's some opportunities, and we still do this, looking at new chemicals, new equipment. Aaron will talk to you a bit soon about resistance, which is futile, but I'm joking. Anyways, but the biggest thing coming out of this is that, and research, we do have a lot of research partnerships, but that GLOC communications piece is super huge. It's going to be not the lifesaver, but probably the most important new thing we do. And that's the ending. Time-tested solutions, early, timely, simple, and accurate communications. Kind of symbolic, showing the little kids, but they never forget that once they see it. And there's the end. So thanks to my co-authors, Lori and Chris, from the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service, and I have time for one question.
Yeah, people have a question or two for Bruce?
Sorry.
Feel free.
It was a wicked problem, so it's really hard to do in 15 minutes.
You did well.
Thanks. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Bruce.